He was trying to see if he could find him again through the crowds, but then another voice caught his attention. "Your father takes quite the risk, you know." He turned and found himself face to face with Athena. For the first time, he realized how much she looked almost like a grown-up version of Annabeth, and he had to force himself not to call her that. "You may yet be useful," she said, "but I still spoke the truth, and you are quite dangerous. Your fatal flaws could destroy us all as well as yourself." Percy remembered a long time ago when he and Annabeth once talked about fatal flaws. "Kronos knows what your fatal flaw is exactly, even if you don't know it yourself. How do you think he has manipulated you previously? First your mother was taken from you, then your best friend Grover, now my daughter Annabeth. In this case, your loved ones have been used to lure you into his traps," she continued. "Your fatal flaw is personal loyalty. You do not know when it is time to cut your losses. To save a friend, you would sacrifice the world. In a hero of the prophecy, that is very, very dangerous." "Just because I want to help my friends, the most dangerous flaws are ones in good moderation," she said. "Evil is easy to fight. Lack of wisdom, that is very hard indeed." He felt like arguing with her, but he found that he couldn't. Athena was pretty darn smart. "I hope the council's decisions prove wise," she said. "But I'll be watching you, Percy Jackson. I do not approve of your friendship with my daughter. I do not think it wise for either of you, and you should begin to waver in your loyalties." She fixed him with a cold, gray stare, and Percy realized Athena would have made a seriously bad enemy, maybe 10 times worse than Ares or Dionysus or even his father. She wasn't the kind of person who would do something rash or stupid to someone just because she hated them. But she never ever gave up. Ever. And if she made plans to destroy anyone, her plans would not fail. "Percy?" Annabeth called. "I will leave you now," Athena told Percy. "For now." And she proudly walked away. "My mom wasn't too hard on you, was she?" Annabeth asked him. "No, I'm fine," he answered. She studied him with concern. Then she touched his gray streak of hair that matched hers, that same painful souvenir from holding Atlas's burden. He had so much to say to her, but Athena took the confidence out of him. It felt like getting squashed to death, which is saying a lot. "So, what was it you were trying to tell me earlier?" she asked. Then he just remembered how he hesitated to make her reconsider when Artemis was offering her to join the hunt. But that changed when it turned out to be an offering for Dahlia. Then he just said, "Oh, I just remembered we kind of got interrupted back in Westover, and I believe I owe you a dance." She smiled slowly and said, "All right, seaweed brain." So she grabbed his arm, and Percy wasn't sure if everyone else was hearing the same, but the music sounded like it just switched to a slow dance. It sounded a little sad, but still a little hopeful too. After the party was over, Percy made a few drachma calls before leaving. His first call was to Tyson. He told him about his adventure, about Bessie, Annabeth, and that his shield was damaged in the first Manticore attack.
"Yay! That means it worked! It saved your life!"
Tyson shouted happily. "It sure did, big guy," Percy replied. "But it's broken now. I'm not sure if it'll be safe to use."
"That's okay,"
Tyson said.
"I can fix it when I visit in the summer."
Percy had just remembered how much he missed Tyson before. "You're coming back next summer?" he asked.
"Yes, I made 2,740 magic swords," Tyson said. "The boss says good work, so I can take the whole summer off."
They talked a little more, and then Percy made a second call to his mom. She was in her apartment kitchen. with Paul Blofus again, and this time they were holding hands. When she saw the image, she asked Paul if he could go get her journal in the living room. Percy told her everything as quickly as he could. She sighed with relief to hear that Annabeth was safe. "I knew you could do it, sweetie," she said. "I'm so proud of you." "Thanks, Mom," he said. "Well, I don't want to distract you during your writing seminar." "Percy, Paul and I..." "Mom, are you happy?" That seemed to take her by surprise, and she thought for a moment. Yes, I really am, Percy," she answered. "Being around him makes me happy." "Then it's cool. Seriously, don't worry about me." The funny part about it, Percy actually meant it. Considering his quest, he probably should have been more worried for her. He had just seen how people can be mean to each other, like how Hercules was mean to Zoe, or how Luke was to Thalia. He himself had talked to Aphrodite, and her presence felt worse than Ares. But seeing his mom smile and laugh after all those years of suffering with his terrible stepfather, Gabe Ugliano, he couldn't help feeling happy for her. "But could you please not call him Mr. Blofus?" she asked him. "Maybe not to his face," Percy humored. "Sally, is it the red one or the green one?" Paul called. "I better go," she said. "See you for Christmas?" "Will there be blue candy in my stocking?" he asked. "If you think you're not too old for that." "Are you kidding? I'm never too old for candy." "I'll see you then," she said, and her image was gone. He thought about that day at Westover when Thalia said his mom was cool. Then he thought, she was right. By the time the heroes left, the sun was rising. It was Monday morning, the day before Christmas, and the solstice was over. Argus had picked up Percy, Annabeth, and Grover and drove them back to Camp Half-Blood. Sadly, Thalia was long gone, along with Artemis and the rest of her hunters, off to their next adventure. They told Chiron the whole story, including about the fact that Luke was still alive. Also, Percy didn't say it to anyone, but he started to think back about that mortal girl Rachel Dare back at the Hoover Dam. He realized he'd stayed alive because so many people helped him, including a mortal. Then Annabeth said, "If the final battle does come when Percy's 16, at least we have 2 more years to figure something out." He had the feeling when she said, "figure something out," something told her she was preferring to Luke in a way to change him back to his old ways. "2 years may seem like a long time," Chiron said, "but it is in the blink of an eye. I really do hope you're not the one in the prophecy for your sake, Percy. But if you are, the Second Titan War is almost upon us. And I assure you, however long it may take them, Kronos will make his first strike here at camp. I know this because the gods always need heroes. Without them, there may not be much left to rely on. Luke will wait until summer before the first fight starts, I assure you. This winter is too rough, the roughest in centuries. Luke will take that much time to recover, Percy, and I suggest you take that same time to get enough rest. You will be needing it. For now, I think it is best you go home now, back to the city, and keep your mind on school." Then Nico came running in a little too excited. "Hey, has anybody seen my sister?" he asked no one in particular. Dead silence. Nico?" Percy said. "Let's take a walk, okay? We need to talk." They walked as far as the edge of the woods, and Percy just couldn't bring himself to say it. Then he showed him the figurine. "She wanted you to have this," he said. Nico just stared at the figure as he held it. Then he looked at Percy in a way it seemed like Percy didn't have to tell him. You promised you would protect her," he said. "Nico, I tried. I really did," Percy said. "But she sacrificed herself to save us. I didn't want her to, but she..." "You promised!" he shouted.
I shouldn't have trusted you. But she may be alive, Nico. We never really found her body. No, my dreams were true. She's dead. I can feel it. I hate you. I wish you were dead.
Wait, what do you mean you can feel it? Percy asked. Before he could answer, there was a recognizable clicking sound behind him. The skeleton warriors were back! Percy was definitely outnumbered. No way he could fight this many by himself, and he had nowhere to go. No! Nico shouted. Go away! Then, the most unexpected thing happened. Flames popped out from underneath each skeleton. Then the ground opened up underneath them and swallowed them. Silence. Then Nico ran for the woods, and Percy was too shocked to stop him. What in the Tartarus just happened? Then he looked at the figure on the ground, and for the first time he realized why its face looked so familiar. Then he ran back to Grover and Annabeth. Guys, Nico's gone, he shouted. I told him what happened, and he completely lost it. And there's something else. The skeleton warriors came back, but then I think Nico made the ground swallow them. No, that's impossible, Grover panicked. No god has that kind of power except... Hades, Percy said. Nico is the son of Hades. Then that means Hades broke the oath too, said Annabeth. Percy, you realize how serious this is? No. He didn't break the oath, Percy said. He told her about how Bianca had mentioned she and Nico had stayed in the Lotus Hotel and how she thought Franklin Roosevelt was still president. They were born before the war, before the oath was made, so they don't count, Percy explained. But he's still a child of the Big Three who's still alive, Annabeth said. The prophecy may refer to him. What if Luke finds him? No, said Percy. Luke will be too busy with me, and I'll be the one in the prophecy. I'm not going to let anyone else take that responsibility and suffer more pain than I've already been through. Not anymore. And I think it's best we keep this to ourselves. We shouldn't tell anyone, not even Chiron. If the Olympians find out, they'll just start fighting again. He's right. That's the last thing we need, said Annabeth. But you can't hide for the gods forever, said Grover. We don't need forever, just 2 more years, said Percy. They went to tell Chiron that Nico disappeared due to his reaction about his sister. It was no surprise to him since it wasn't the first time someone ran away from camp. They left out the secret parts, but Chiron looked at them as if he could expect something, but they managed to walk away with no questions asked. Then Percy looked at Annabeth and asked, What about you? I'm going to try San Francisco after all, she said. Maybe I'll keep an eye out if anything goes wrong near Mount Tam. You will send me an iris message, won't you? Percy asked. Of course. Percy hated the idea of waiting next year in August. He would turn 16. So close to 16, he hated to think about it. Finally, he told her, Okay, you just take care of yourself, and don't go pulling stunts with your dad's softwood camel. Deal, she said. And Percy? Percy! Grover yelled. Percy! Percy, I heard him! He spoke in my mind! What? Who? Pan, the Lord of the Wild himself. I heard him in my head. I gotta pack a suitcase and... Whoa. Slow down, Percy said. What exactly did you hear him say? Just 3 simple words, really, Grover said. He said, I await you.